What's up, you guys? I am greeting you today from our guest bedroom, and I thought we would talk about travel tips because I am right smack dab in the middle of my craziest travel month of the year. Which I know you're probably thinking, like, dude, haven't you been to Ireland, Morocco, New York 15 times, Vegas, and everywhere in between? And the answer is yes. Yes, I have. I actually just came back from Pennsylvania and New Jersey this past weekend. And then this coming weekend, we literally leave tomorrow for Florida. So things are kind of insane right now. We've got weddings and some travels for the holidays and everything. And I figured while this topic is on my mind, it'd be great to chat with you about kind of some travel tips, things we've learned through this year, things we've learned from bringing our photography and film gear on our travels so that we can document everything for you guys, as well as just like little packing and budgeting hacks that we've kind of picked up along the way. So this one, I've obviously got my girls with me. We got little Miss Sokka right here, little Miss Numi right here taking her shower. And I'm in the guest room because Ian is currently sick, and I am really trying desperately not to get what he has. Whatever this illness is, I don't want it. I really don't. So I've been like quarantining myself and washing my hands aggressively and disinfecting everything around the house so that I can avoid whatever illness he has. But I do miss him, and yeah, that's sad. But anyway, we're going to talk about travel, some travel tips, travel with photography gear. Let's get to it. Hey, before we continue, can I talk to the creative girls for a second? Okay, so if you have been feeling a little burnout, overwhelmed in your work or your life, or maybe you've just been dreaming about starting your own creative business and just need the motivation and the tools to really kick things into gear, I want to let you in on something that just might help you out. So I'm hosting a creative photography workshop and retreat built especially for you. Not only will you get 3 days, 2 nights of rest and relaxation, all the good stuff at the viral cliffs of Hocking Hills, but you'll also gain relevant tools for your business. There will be high-end and editorial bridal-styled shoots for the photographers, videographers, and wedding vendors, breakout sessions led by actual professionals to answer all of your questions and leave you with answers to transform your next season of creative work. And if I'm being totally honest, it's not just fluff. You guys, I have been to those workshops and I'm not a fan. We are going to get into the nitty gritty here with real practical advice and tools on topics vital to propel your business and your life. This is also my third time hosting an overnight workshop like this. And in the last couple years, they all sold out. So tickets are not yet live, but I wanted to make sure you got first dibs. So hop on the waitlist right now to be first in line and mark your calendars for May 11th through 13th, 2026. I will link everything below. Make sure you head to my website, indiajadephoto.com, and check the link in the bio to get on the wait list. Okay, back to the episode. I feel like I should scooch up a little bit. There we go. Sorry, Numi. I just had to clean her ears. She's had this ongoing ear infection since we've got her. So it's been like 3 years. And so she always has a little on and off ear infection. And the vets have always given the same medicine and nothing ever really changes. So once in a while, I just kind of give her some liquid ear drops and she hates them. So if you see her like squirming in the back, that's what's happening. Just my girl rebelling. Dee-doo-doo. Anyway, hey, what's up, guys? I don't know about you, but like travel, maybe it's something you do for work. Maybe it's something you've always wanted to do. Maybe it's something that you do often for pleasure or for work or whatever. But I think sometimes there's a lot of these like, weird, like either outdated pieces of information or just, I don't know, unhelpful things that float around when we're talking about like travel and flying and traveling different countries. People want to like scare you all the time. Like, oh my gosh, well, do you feel safe traveling to that country? Well, oh my gosh, don't you know that like Morocco is like super dangerous? And don't you feel like unsafe going to New York City on a trip? And I'm like, no, no, because I think when you're someone who goes out and submerges yourself in other cultures and travels somewhat frequently, things become less scary. Like things get a little more debunked. And yes, there's plenty of things to be nervous about. There's plenty of things to keep an eye out for when you travel. But honestly, I've gone around so much that like I feel more unsafe, you know, walking outside at night in my hometown city than I do taking the subway in New York, or than I do, you know, touring around in a country as a tourist where it's very clear that like I'm not a targeted threat necessarily. Like I'm there to like help the economy, or I'm there to take my silly little pictures. Like I think just sometimes people have outdated perceptions of like travel if they've really just never left their zip code or their county in a long time. So I'm not usually nervous when I travel. But I also understand I'm privileged to usually travel with other people, usually with a group, sometimes with my husband. So like there's also those safeguards, but I don't find travel to be very scary. I find it to be exciting and sometimes exhausting. And some tips, you know, that I've learned along the way to make the system better is just to be as prepared as you can when you travel. Yes, for safety reasons, but also just like to make yourself feel more comfortable. When you're like home away from home, it can feel super uncomfortable to kind of like squish your belongings in a small bag and have the stress of like planning out like, what am I going to bring? What am I going to wear? What am I going to eat? Like, what if I hate all the food? What if this just gets more expensive? Like, what if it gets out of budget? So I've kind of felt all those feelings, but I have some tips for you to hopefully make it less scary. We're going to debunk some traveling things and maybe give you some tips, particularly if you travel with photography gear or film gear or cameras or a laptop. Like some of these are just like things I've learned as someone who travels a lot for my work. So let's get into it. Okay, first and foremost, the number one travel tip I could give to anybody, whether or not you're a photographer, whether or not you travel with gear, is to purchase AirTags and put them in everything. Yes, they're like $100, but especially when you're traveling with something of value, it's 1000% worth it to me. Now, if you don't have Apple products, you can still use AirTags. I think the Find My system might work differently, but I highly, highly recommend looking into it if you're not an Apple product user, but I really recommend them. Usually when we travel, I will have a gear backpack on. I will slip one AirTag into that bag. And then I also have a small rig. It's called Small Rig. It's the brand. A little AirTag carrying case that I can screw into the bottom of my camera. Now that is like a game changer for me because worst case scenario, I'm taking photos as a tourist out and about somewhere, let's say in a foreign country, and someone sees that, notices my camera, thinks they could get some quick money off of it, bumps into me, takes my entire camera, you know, now it's missing. I can hop on immediately to my phone and see that the AirTag, which is hidden, like if someone didn't know what they're looking for, they're probably not going to spot it. It's like hidden underneath the camera. I can immediately start tracking my camera instead of just, you know, if I didn't have an AirTag attached to it, someone grabs my camera out of my hand, it's just gone. So that's something that I really recommend if you're traveling with gear. But again, you can also slip an AirTag into your suitcase. That way, if you check the bag and then the luggage is lost, you can trace it. You can put it, in your shoe. I don't think that'd be very comfortable, but if you wanted to put it in your shoe or like your kid's shoe, if you're traveling with like family, and it gives you peace of mind, you can also put an AirTag. I think they have little bracelets for them. So same thing, if you're traveling with kids and that makes you feel safer, you could kind of make sure that your kid has a tracker on them. So all those things can be really, really helpful. But especially for us, like one goes in the gear backpack, one goes in the suitcase, and then one is just kind of hooked into the bottom of our cameras. Okay, next tip. This one's kind of a new situation we've been running into. When we were on our flight home from Ireland, it's like an 8-hour flight. It's Aer Lingus, I believe, and they come around and ask if anyone wants to purchase wired headphones. And I was like, no, I don't need to purchase a set of wired headphones. Like, I'm good. You give those out for free, don't you? Don't you? And so when I started flying internationally, like, I don't know, a decade ago, that was like a given. Anytime you have a flight, even not internationally, but anytime there's a flight with like, more than 4 hours, there's usually a screen involved on the seat in front of you. That's kind of standard in some of these bigger planes when you have longer flights. And you get to watch movies, listen to music, whatever. And the headphones are free, right? Apparently not. Okay? Apparently not anymore, you guys. Because when you're spending $1,000 on a flight, all of a sudden they go, you know what? The extra $4 of buying them a set of headphones with the wire is just too much. It's going to send us under, so no. So they were selling these headphones on the flight I took back in July for $18 for wired headphones, okay? I find that to be stupid. Stupid. Now, Ian's very prepared. We have this pair of like Bluetooth headphones that's $20 on Amazon, and you can do it without any wires, like completely Bluetooth connected, or it also has a wire so you can plug it into the audio jack. So he brought those, and I'm very grateful he brought those because that's what I ended up using for the flight. But I'm like, if he hadn't brought those, I would have just spent the extra money just to like make it more comfortable, because you're on a plane for 8 hours. What's $18 more to make the silence for 8 hours more comfortable? So that's my advice now, is not every airplane has a Bluetooth capability. So I would recommend bringing your own headphones with a set of wires in them, but also just being prepared just in case, like the plane, comes by and asks for, you to have those headphones for a fee, which again, I think is very stupid. But I mean, a flight without a headset is something I never want to see. Even if you just end up using your own AirPods or something, or your wireless headphones, making sure that you have those, you have them charged for a flight, even if it's not international, even just domestic quick flights. Oh my gosh, I was just on one the other day and there was a kid, a baby behind me, which I always want to give extra grace when it's a baby and a mom or a parent, but started crying right away. The parent seemed to do nothing, didn't shush them, didn't, soothe them, didn't do anything, didn't offer them a binky or anything, just lets the baby cry. And then all of a sudden the baby starts choking and spitting up and like vomiting like breast milk. And I could just smell for the entire hour and some flight home, just breast milk smell behind me. I'm like, great, good. So I'm really glad at least I had my headphones, because I could just tune it out and listen to a playlist or download my, watch my downloaded shows on Netflix. So good gravy. Okay. My other tip for travel, this one I haven't engaged in a long time, but if you're traveling for maybe a long amount of time, like going on a bigger trip, and you think you're going to bring back some souvenirs, I recommend packing clothes that you're about to get rid of. Now you might be like, India, why would I do that? I want to take cute pictures while I'm on vacation in my cute clothes. Well, what I mean by that is, like, if there's like a couple outfits or like a shirt or a sweatshirt or something that you're like, I'm about to get rid of this, you could wear it on the trip if you think it's still stylish. And then if you want to bring home souvenirs, but like it's the difference of weight, you could leave those items that you're going to donate anyway in the other place and then fill that space in your bag with goodies and bring back your souvenirs. I did that once when I traveled way back in college. I had a couple extra t-shirts and I was just doing like a big chunky travel size backpack. And that was kind of a nice trade-off because I wanted to bring home some things that were a little heavier. And so it just kind of makes for that weight difference. And again, you're going to get rid of it anyway. Might as well get some use out of it and then donate it to a thrift store or leave it with, whoever you're traveling with back there. Okay, another tip on apparel is if you're traveling somewhere that does have higher tourism rates and it has maybe a little bit more of petty theft and crime, like Paris or Italy or something like that, or somewhere in the Middle East or something, if you're going to wear jewelry, I would just make sure it's inexpensive jewelry. I would not pack anything nice or of value, or if it got lost that you would be devastated about. I have like super cheap earrings. I think everything I own is under $20. I have like super cheap, rings and stuff. Again, I don't own anything except for my like wedding band, everything I own is very inexpensive anyway. So I might be the exception there. But like, even if you wanted to wear a nice watch or something, bring the one that you got at an antique sale or at a thrift store or at a flea market. versus your nice $150 watch kind of thing. You know, if you're going to bring sunglasses, don't bring your fancy Ray-Bans or your Meta sunglasses. Just bring the ones that you thrifted or you got for $40 on Amazon. Just in case something happens, I have lost sunglasses to canoe incidents. I have, left jewelry behind in hotels before. And as much as it sucks to lose something, at least I'm able to go, oh, but that wasn't that expensive. It was something I thrifted. It was something inexpensive. I've never, knock on wood, I've never been pickpocketed while I'm traveling. I've never had something taken off my person. I've never had somebody bump into me and take my bracelet. But if they did, it's not an expensive loss at all. So that's just kind of a travel tip is you can wear things that are still looking nice, especially if you go to places like Discount Fashion Warehouse or kind of those in-between stores. Or honestly, there's so many nice looking things on Amazon. So if you really want to look fancy, order your jewelry off of a different kind of site where you're not spending a bunch so that if you lose something while traveling, it's really not a big deal. Okay, now moving on to photography and film tips while traveling. Making sure my little Numi's back here. She is. If you travel with camera gear, a laptop, something like that, this is super important. Maybe you know this. I'm just double checking here. Maybe you don't know this. You are not allowed to fly with lithium batteries in the undercarriage of the plane. It will make the batteries pop, explode. They are on the banned list. It's very obvious when you check a bag. They will have those lists of hazardous items. They're no aerosol cans, no lithium batteries, no knives or sharp objects or things like that, right? But sometimes if you've never traveled with a camera, you might not know that your batteries that go in there are those lithium batteries, those rechargeable ones that you pop in and out and put them in the wall to recharge. Those are the batteries that are banned. Okay, so if you bring a Pelican case for your camera gear and check it under and you have those batteries in it, they will most likely get confiscated to make sure that they don't pop and explode on the plane, thus jeopardizing everybody on the plane. And we have had this happen before. We were on a flight to Alaska for a film shoot a couple years ago, and Ian had all of the batteries together because he knew they needed to be taken out. But for some reason, when we were packing and we were getting through security, we forgot to take them out and make sure those went on the plane with us. Instead, those were accidentally in the Pelican case. So that bag went through security and the TSA stopped it, took out all the batteries that we needed for the film shoot. And then by the time we landed in Alaska, we opened the battery and found the note that was hey, all your batteries have been confiscated. They're back in Columbus, Ohio. We were in Alaska. We were oh my gosh, what do we do? So we figured out that situation. We had to contact some local film guy, and then we ended up having someone on the team fly up from the lower 48 with the right batteries. But I say all that to say it's a safety hazard and it could cause huge issues and big delays if you're doing any kind of photography work or film work while you're there. So just make sure when you're packing those items, those batteries come out of your checked bag and stay with you as a carry-on item. There's no issues going through TSA security. I've never had an issue with the batteries at all. But when you explain that to the crew, sometimes they're oh, we ran out of overhead bin space and we have to check all the bags. Sorry. They've said that to me before when I have a camera bag. And I'm this camera backpack is not safe to go under the plane because it'll crack my lenses. This is not conducive to being tossed around with luggage. But B, this has the batteries and my laptop has a battery too. So that's a reason why laptops cannot go in your check bags either. So just wanted to clear the air. Make sure you know that. Even if you're not doing photography professionally, if you have a digital camera that you are bringing a DSLR to for vacation, you're bringing a camera like that with you guys, that counts too, okay? So don't think you can just tuck it away in your bag. It will most likely get confiscated and you're going to be really, really sad. Okay. Another film tip or photography tip, I should say, if you're traveling with film, 35 millimeter film to be exact, I think this would probably affect Porta 400 or what am I saying? Super 8 film or medium format film, any kind of old school film that you would have on a manual, analog, non-digital camera, you're probably going to want to do a hand check. And what that means is when you're going through security and they're take off your shoes, take off your laptop, go through the beeper, your film, if it gets scanned by those high radiation machines, sometimes it will overexpose any undeveloped images and damage the film. I have had my film go through those scanners a couple times. One time I just forgot to take it out. I thought my life was ruined. It wasn't. It was all good. The other time, it was a language barrier, and I was holding everything in a plastic bag, and I was like, can you please hand check this? And they were like, goes through the scanner. And I was like, no, can you please hand check this? They're like, scanner. And I was like, I'm asking you with my words, like English, please. And it didn't compute. So they pushed it through the scanner. But both times, all my photos were just fine. If anything, a little overexposed, but like we were okay. The thing is, I think it all has to do with the ISO level of your film. I usually shoot with Porta 400 film or Kodak 400 film, so that's usually just fine. If you have 800 or not 120, it'd be like 1200 ISO film, you might be running into issues. So I just recommend having a clear Ziploc bag on hand, and when you go through, you can at least ask them to hand check your film camera if it has film in it or the undeveloped film. That's my little tip. If that was too much for the non-film people, sorry. I'm just trying to make sure you know what to do. Okay. Another tip right now for international flights, we ran into this on our way home from Portugal a couple months ago. For some reason, I'm a huge hey, convenience. I've got my boarding pass on my phone, boop, scan it, we're done. I don't want to print anything. I don't want to have all these extra papers. For some reason, we got up to the gate and they were like, no digital boarding passes. I don't know why. So we had to run around to an agent and ask if they could print our boarding pass, show them our passport, all those things. So I'm just throwing that out there. Sometimes if you've got your headphones on and you're used to just using the digital boarding pass, for some reason on certain international flights, we've been kind of running into that yes, no factors. So I would just play it safe. Go up to them once you're at your gate, ask if they can print it for you, or if you're checking a bag, see if you can print it earlier, just to make sure you don't have to hold anyone up. Okay. If you're traveling anywhere, the New York subway, if you're traveling on an Amtrak train, if you're in another country and you're on a bus or a train that has, a spot for luggage and then the overhead spot for bags, keep an eye on your bag. Okay, that's just travel 101. I think it really depends on the situation, how crowded a train is, what the vibes are, but I think it's just really wise if you can keep your bag with you, slide it under the seat, slide it under your legs. I like to loop, a leg through one of the armholes and put it on the floor. That'd be ideal, but we've run into a lot of situations recently where we're on an international train or an international bus. There's no room to put your backpack in front of you because there's a table or you're wall to wall with other people. And they're like, oh yeah, put your checked bag here and your overhead up here. And I've heard horror stories. So again, if you've got your air tags in there, you're probably safer off, but still, we just try to keep our bags with us at all times. And at least if your checked bag got snatched, it's a pretty big, obvious thing. You'd see someone over there, but just kind of try to sit within an eye's distance of your baggage. And if you've got those personal items, especially if you've got your passport, your wallet, those things that are hard to replace, try to keep those on your person at all times, because I find that, at least a little comforting to have those right on my person. And then my clothes can get stolen. That's okay. They're just clothes. I don't spend money on clothes. I thrift all my clothes, so it's not a big loss. But yeah, I don't know. That's obvious, but whoa, maybe you haven't traveled internationally in a minute, so you wouldn't even know. But that's my tip there. Okay. Another tip for traveling with photo gear, film gear, if you take pictures while you travel, duplicate your images, record them to multiple cards if you can, if you have a dual slot camera, and then spread out the images. I like to travel with a travel specific hard drive, and then I have dual slot image capabilities in my camera, so I'll record everything to 2 different SD cards, put one SD card in my checked bag, put one SD card in my camera and leave it in there on the way back, and then copy everything every single day of my trip to a hard drive and put that somewhere else. So that there's kind of 2 to 3 locations that everything is spread out in. If I have the time on my trip, I'll edit previews every day just so I can upload those somewhere if I have decent Wi-Fi, or airdrop them to my phone. So at least if something happened to the images, I wouldn't be totally out. But just even for personal stuff, non-client work, I love to just make sure that we have our photos. One quick horror story. We traveled on a really, really fun trip across the country and recorded everything to just one SD card on a film camera because it was personal. And we're like, we don't need to, clear up all this space and delete all this stuff. And we came back and I thought Ian backed up the footage. He thought I backed up the footage. And lo and behold, we found out the entire trip. It was a cross-country Ohio to Los Angeles road trip. The entire trip got wiped from our SD card. So don't do that. That's stupid, okay? That's stupid. All right. If you're packing clothes, there's something called the 3-shoe rule. I think just throw it out the window, okay? I tried this last year when we went to Paris, Switzerland, and Italy. It was all one big trip, about 15 days of travel. I brought a pair of knee-high boots. I brought a pair of low-rise black boots. I brought a pair of white sneakers. And I believe I brought a pair of winter boots as well. I'm not positive. I didn't need to bring that many shoes, you guys. My tip is just throw it out the window. 2 pairs of shoes, unless we're talking about a summertime trip where you've got heels and like you're in a wedding or something and you need the beach shoes and you need a bachelorette trip. Unless we're talking about something like that where fashion is the focus of the trip, go comfort over everything. 2 pairs of shoes, all right? We're going to do a boot and we're going to do a sneaker. They both have to be conducive to walking, non-negotiable. I don't care anymore about trying to make my feet look pretty if I'm sitting in a nice restaurant, because odds are we're not sitting in a nice restaurant. We're sitting in a low to mid-tier priced restaurant. It's okay if I have like dingy white shoes on and a cute outfit. They're not going to look at my feet. They get it. They see tourists all the time. It's fine. But yeah, last year I think I tried to put too many shoes in the mix for the Paris trip. And I remember I brought this one specific pair of boots just so we could get pretty pictures in it. And we tried, but I couldn't walk in these shoes. They hurt after just a few steps. We got 1 block down the street and I was like, oh my gosh, my feet are dying. And we rode the train back at midnight and I ended up switching shoes with Ian and he wore just plain socks because my feet were dying, deceased, and I couldn't do it anymore. So it's what was the point of me bringing those boots? What was the point? We were taking pictures at 10 p.m. next to the Eiffel Tower. You couldn't even see my feet anyway. Stupid. Just 2 pairs of shoes, a black Chelsea boot or a brown Blundstone boot, and a white pair of sneakers, a tan pair of sneakers, something like that. One for each event, something casual, something that you can wear a cute dress with. It works. It's fine. Okay, this one's obvious. Bring a reusable water bottle. Why am I adding this to my travel tips list? Because sometimes people forget. And they're bringing a silly little crunchy plastic one around, and then it's easy to forget because you're not really attached to it, and then you're on a plane and you're thirsty. Don't do it. Bring your water bottle. I have my Awala right here. I bought this last year specifically for travel. I like the size. The 24 ounce is perfect. It slips into my camera backpack really well. It slips into a purse really well. It's not too much that if I have to chug it all before security, I can do that, but perfect size. It does hot and cold drinks, but I really don't like mixing coffee in there and then rinsing it out because then it kind of tastes like coffee for the water. I'm a little specific. It's fine. I recommend bringing one. It's great. Layers. Okay? If you're packing clothes for a trip, doesn't matter if it's spring, summer, winter, fall, bring layers. It helps lighten your load. For example, right now I'm wearing jeans. I'm wearing a, quarter zip pullover, and I'm wearing this, whatever this is called, mock turtleneck. I could wear just this and have a white top, take this off, wrap it around my shoulders. Ooh, European, okay? I could switch and just wear this and take this and tie it around my waist. Ooh, she looks campy and cutesy. I could roll up my sleeves, and that's about it. I guess there's only so much I can do. But the point is, within one little section of layers, you can have 2 to 3 different looks. The jeans, bringing one pair of pants that you can kind of wear with different outfits, and it changes the whole look. Bringing a jacket that you could then tie around your waist, that you could wear with a different color underneath, that you could tie around your shoulder. It's just bringing things that you can layer and switch the looks up. It really, really helps minimize what you're bringing. Another hack I love is bringing a long dress. So you can put a sweater over it and make it look like a dress and a skirt. A sweater and a skirt. Or you could just wear the dress as it is, or you could tie something around the top. There's all kinds of ways to kind of like mess around with the layers of what you're bringing and make things look different each and every day. Bring layers. You won't regret it. Wear airplane pants. Airplane pants are the affectionate term I give to pants that are comfortable and that have pockets. Genuinely, I have several pairs of pants that I find comfortable, but I think they're usually not denim. I have a pair of cream pants that are kind of like some polyester blend, but they're just soft, they're comfy, they're not pajama pants, they're not sweatpants, but they're my airplane pants, okay? I have a pair from Columbia, that brand, and a pair from Albion Fit. That kind of like almost workout material, like I could go on a hike in these pants, but they've just got those pockets. They're great. I've got a pair of black ones, and then I've also got a pair of like kind of like cargo pants, but kind of cuter. They came from Target a long time ago. It makes me look like Kim Possible. Those kind of pants really, really help when you're hopping on and off flights and you just want to cozy up, especially if it's an international flight. You could just do a sweatsuit, but then if you get there early in the morning and you're just tossed out on the street and you're just like basically in your pajamas. Another story, we flew into Milan last year, dressed all in our sweatpant outfits, and by the time we landed, it was like 8 a.m. and we couldn't check into our Airbnb till like noon or 1. And so we just like go to Milan and we're walking around in our suitcases and go to a coffee shop, and I'm like, everyone's like super hot. Everyone's dressed in like super cool clothes. Oh, hi, buddy. And I forgot that Milan is the fashion capital of the world, and I'm out here wearing my dusty, crusty, what? Oh my gosh, my cats. Sweatpants. So don't be like me. Wear good airplane. Excuse me, I burped. Wear good airplane burp pants. Okay. I need to wrap this up. I'm hungry. This is a trip. What? A trip? A chip? India. Focus. This is a tip for people who want to travel more, who do travel more, and who want to make the most bang for your buck. Okay, this is using credit card points. Don't come at me, Dave Ramsey. I don't even want to talk about the outdated information that man gives. I'm a fan of credit card points. I'm a fan of using my points for good. Last year, we stayed in Paris for an entire week for free. Why? Credit card points, okay? We got 1 week's worth of hotel at not a super pricey hotel, but not a super cheap hotel either, for free, covered with credit card points. We use Chase Travel. When you open a Chase account, you're going to get your little credit card. We have the Sapphire Preferred. I would like to move up in the world and get the Sapphire Reserve. And you're going to open a credit card. You're going to spend all the money you need to spend to get the points, which I just use it on things we'd already buy, gas, food, groceries, whatever we need to do for that month. And then you unlock the bonus, 40,000, 60,000 points. Then every time you have a trip coming up, you just log into your Chase account, hit the travel tab, and book your flight through that, okay? Okay. Then when you're booking your flight, and it's the same stuff that pops up on Google Flights. It's the same hotels. It's the same. I've double checked. I've checked in incognito windows. I've done the things. It's the same stuff. Once in a blue moon, it's going to be more expensive to go through Chase Travel. I've never ran into that. You can book Southwest. You can book American Airlines. You can book Aer Lingus, whatever you're booking. Do it through the Chase Travel portal, and it connects your monetary spend and times it by 3, 4, 5, whatever the bonus is going on for your travel that month. And then you collect points that way. Now, you can just never use them. You can never cash them in. You can just kind of go about your life and eventually take it out as money. And that's what we did last year. I think collected some 70, 90,000 number of points. I don't remember, 100,000 points. And we just cashed it out, and that turned into like $1,700. And then we used that money to cover our lodging in Paris. Or you can keep tracking things, and there'll be like bonuses where you can say, oh, I've got 90,000 points. That's going to, turn into a 6-night stay at this Marriott Bonvoy where the points go further, and then I only have to pay $25 total for like 6 nights at this place. There's a whole science to it. So many people know so much more about the points than I do, but I recommend getting started because they've saved us so much money. And it's one of the main reasons we get to travel as much as we do is because when we go on a trip or something that's on a work expense, we will see if there's somewhere else we want to go in that area while we're already there and use our Chase points to make it free. Okay? I really like it. I have a Chase link that I'll send. I think there's a big promo going on right now. So if you want to get started and get a whole bunch of points, again, be responsible with your credit card. We're not giving stupid advice out here. Use it like cash. Pay it off at the end of every month. But I think especially if you're running a business, if you travel a lot, if you travel a lot for work, it's definitely worth it to get going with the point system. And you and your spouse could open separate accounts and get all kinds of points. It's just a great thing. So use those points. Also, if anyone has tips for me on more travel specific credit cards, I'd love to hear it because obviously we do this a lot and we have our Chase Sapphire preferred, but I'd love to like eventually get a credit card that, you know, is more like conducive to a certain airline, if that makes more sense, or if there's like a airline lounge access or something that makes it worth it. I've looked into a couple. There's like fees that are $90, $700. I don't know. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense right now, but right now, I mean, this year alone, I think I've had at least 25 flights, and the year's not over yet. So it's like if I'm flying that much, if there's a credit card that would be more helpful for me as a frequent flyer, let me know. Okay. And then the last tip for today is if you're traveling and you find yourself in need of a rental car, yes, you can book one right through the airport. We've done that before. Tiny mini horror story. On our honeymoon, we went to Arizona and we flew into Phoenix and we had no idea that like this huge like NASCAR race was going on in Phoenix the week that we were there. And the rental car for 1 week in Arizona was upwards of $800 for like the smallest, stupidest, non-fancy, non-flashy car because there was some big event going on. So check your calendars, I guess, where you're flying into. And I think if we would have booked a rental car like even 20 minutes outside of that area, we would have saved hundreds and hundreds. But anyway, what we do now, instead of usually going through the airport, is we usually go through Turo. This isn't available everywhere. It's definitely more so in the States. I don't think this is a thing internationally. But if you're traveling somewhere stateside and you need a rental car, I would at least check out the prices on Turo. We're going to Florida here soon, and I looked at the airport rental car options. And where we're flying into, the cheapest car I could find for the days we were going to be there through the airport rental car service was going to be like, I think it was like $500 to $700. So then I checked on Turo and I got a rental car with great reviews. The driver has great reviews and more flexible pickup and drop off hours for less than $290. So that's the difference of like half, that's half the price. What I like about Turo is that usually, like similar to Airbnb, you can see 5-star reviews. You can read the reviews from past users about the driver. There is no driver. I should use the wrong word. The owner of the car who's dropping it off for you. But you can see like, is this a sketchy person? Like, has anyone had any issues? And also, is the car reliable? Is it good? Is it normal? Versus if you sign up for like a rental car, like through Hertz or Budget or Payless car rental or whatever, you don't know what car you're actually getting. And you could get there and you think you're getting one car and they're like, oh, we actually gave that car away. And now here's this clunker that has a bunch of issues or is super, super dirty or unreliable. And we have had that happen before where we thought we were renting a specific vehicle. Excuse me. A little break in the pod for you. We thought we were renting a specific vehicle and then we get there and they're like, oh, we actually gave your car to somebody else, but here's a different one. And it's like way worse. And we had to like go take it in to get like fixed. And it kind of just ruined the whole trip, because we're spending extra time not doing what we came there for, but instead maintaining a car. So anyway, that's that. One last trip I'm going to throw out there. Tip. Oh, my words. I wish I wasn't so dang dyslexic. That's a joke. I don't think I actually have dyslexia. I think I have ADHD though. As you can see, I'm also watching the sunset right now and it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Why are all the prettiest sunsets like, when I'm in the least pretty spots? My last travel tip is if you're traveling internationally and you want to rent a car, it's possible. It's not that hard, but unless you drive stick, really well or you want to drive a manual car, you have to request an automatic. Like, otherwise they will just give you a stick shift. We were in Italy last year and we needed a rental car to get around, and it occurred to us that if we don't say automatic, they were just going to give us a European made car, which is usually a stick shift. So you want to request that. Excuse me. I'm just all kinds of issues right now. I'm coughing, burping, farting. What? But also if you're going to travel international, you want to make sure you have an international driver's permit. You don't have to take a test or anything, which kind of feels a little crazy. I've never done it, but all you do, Ian's done it every time. All you do is you go into a AAA, you pay $20, you request international driver's permit, and you just list the countries you're going to be visiting. You can walk out same day and get one right there. And you have to make sure you bring that on your trip so that you can actually get a rental car. Wow. So many things. We've learned so much this year. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it for now. I'm going to go eat some leftovers for dinner, but we have tons of travels coming up. I'm sure you're going to see me post about them. You're going to hear me yap about them. I'm going to post more videos. One day I will sit down and actually edit together all of our vlogs. I'm so sorry that I have not done that because my life's insane and I make no money from doing that. So if you want to see that, I don't know, incentivize me. Tell me in the comments you want to see that, okay? Otherwise, I'm never, ever going to edit them. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. This was a long episode. I hope it was valuable to you, and I hope you have a great day wherever you are in the world. Okay, all right, I'm going to go to bed now.